Hello everyone, I welcome you to my YouTube channel Professor Civil Mandal. Here I basically speak about civil engineering and you will find my video lectures regarding various topics of civil engineering over here. So after we are done with various properties of fluid like viscosity and specific weight, relative density, specific gravity, mass density, we are now up with the seventh property, that is the surface tension. So basically surface tension is the tendency of a liquid surface to shrink into the minimum surface area possible. So whenever you see a liquid surface, it will try to shrink itself to the minimum area, and this property is basically due to the cohesion between the liquid particles and the surface. Cohesion, as you know, when the liquid particles have some attractive force amongst themselves, that is known as the cohesive force, and due to this cohesion surface tension is prevalent in liquid. So the more is the cohesion, the more is the surface tension you can convey it. It is denoted by Greek letter sigma. For liquids it decreases with increase of temperature and vice versa. So if you increase the temperature, then surface tension is going to decrease, and vice versa. It is due to surface tension the liquid droplets take form of a sphere, which is the shape for minimum surface area. So if you consider uh, any cube or a cuboid or any cylinder or any cone or a sphere consumes the minimum surface area. Means if you have equal volumes of a sphere, cylinder, cone and cube, then a sphere is said to have the minimum surface area. So liquid droplets together they converge to form a sphere, and it is all due to the cohesion. Dimension is Newton per meter, and the pressure. Now to calculate the pressure inside a liquid form, there is a given empirical formula, that is P is equal to 4 sigma upon D. Similarly, for pressure inside bubble, it is given by P is equal to 8 sigma upon D, and the pressure inside the jet is given by 2 sigma upon D. So you can clearly see that a liquid bubble has a higher pressure as compared to a liquid drop or a liquid jet. Moving on to the next property, that is the capillarity. Capillarity is the tendency of a liquid in a capillary tube or absorbent material to rise or fall as a result of surface tension. So the capillarity is that property of a liquid to rise or fall in a capillary tube whenever it is placed in it, and it is all due to the result of the surface tension. If the adhesion predominates, means if the liquid sticks to the capillary tube or the vessel more than the cohesive force, then the liquid will wet the surface and with which it is in contact, and the free surface will become concave upwards. So basically it will look like this. I have shown a figure over here, right? This one, yeah, this is the capillarity fall. If the adhesion predominates, then the liquid will wet the surface and with which it is in contact, and the free surface will be concave upwards or convex downwards. The free top surface will fall, and hence it is called the capillarity fall. So you can see the figure of the capillarity fall. Next is, if the cohesion predominates adhesion, then the liquid will not wet the surface. So now if cohesive force is more, that is the liquid particles do have more attraction amongst themselves than the adhesive force, then we can say that the liquid will not wet the surface with which it is in contact, and the free surface will be convex upwards or concave downwards. The top free surface will rise, and hence it is called the capillarity rise. So the first example is seen when we have water where adhesion is more, and second example can be seen when we have mercury where cohesion is more. So here is the figure, and you can also see the free body diagram of the forces that are acting on the meniscus of the rising or the falling liquid. So height of a capillary tube is totally given by this one, and you can see H is equal to 4 sigma cos theta upon rho GD. So it is dependent upon the surface tension, that is sigma. As I said you, it is solely dependent on the surface tension. Also it depends upon the diameter of the capillary tube, density of the liquid, and the gravity acceleration due to gravity. And also theta is the angle of contact between the liquid and the material. Just see the figure once to know what is theta. See, theta is very less for capillary rise, whereas for capillarity fall, the theta has some higher value. Next property is the vapor pressure. So vapor pressure can be defined as the pressure formed by the vapor of liquid or solid over the surface of the liquid. So whenever you are forming vapors of a particular liquid, the pressure formed by those vapors is known as the vapor pressure. This pressure is formed in a thermodynamic equilibrium state in a closed container at a certain temperature. Why thermodynamic equilibrium is required? Because we need to ensure a particular certain temperature, and we have to ensure that it also has a proper entropy and an enthalpy, so that we get a proper and ensured condition for a vapor pressure to be determined. The liquid's evaporation rate is identified by the equilibrium vapor pressure. So basically for getting a liquid's evaporation rate, we identify the equilibrium vapor pressure, and this is the basic use of a vapor pressure. Next is a very important topic, that is cavitation. Cavitation is a phenomenon in which rapid changes of pressure in a liquid lead to the formation of small vapor-like cavities in places where the pressure is relatively low. So it is basically due to whenever suppose a fluid is flowing in a particular pipe, and then it does have some certain pressure, and it is fully occupying the pipe in which it is flowing. And suppose there is a sudden change in pressure and there is a pressure drop especially, then you will see that cavity of the flowing fluid is being formed, as if the fluid is not continuous. And because of this, whenever another gust of fluid comes and tries to occupy the cavity, then it relatively causes some force and it can lead to destruction. So just let us read the topic, that is the cavitation, which is a phenomenon in which the rapid changes of pressure in a liquid lead to the formation of small vapor filled cavities in places where the pressure is relatively low. So the cavities do have pressures which are relatively low, and the combination of highly concentrated energy and focused direction makes a collapsing bubble so destructive. Even if the bubbles collapse well above the surface of the impeller and erosion is avoided, the cavitation shock waves can still cause severe vibration, which can lead to other form of pump damage. So it can be basically seen in pumps or even in certain pipes. So basically whenever you are suppose lifting water over pump or a tube well, whenever you try to touch the pipe or the conduit through which the water is being lifted, you will feel that a little bit of vibratory force you can feel, and as if the fluid flowing is not continuous. So this thing generally forms a this thing is generally because of the cavitation, and it is very harmful for the pipes or the conduits or even for the pumps through which it is being run. So basically protection needs to be there against this cavitation. It is by adopting hydraulic design, avoiding development of low pressure. So if you adopt such a hydraulic design where low pressure is developed, where you can avoid the development of low pressure, then you can avoid also the cavitation. And use of cavitation resistant materials, like if you are using PVC pipes which are very much shock resistant, so cavitation won't be a harmful cause for those type of pipes. Next is the compressibility. Compressibility is basically the inverse of bulk modulus. Now bulk modulus, as you know, that is stress upon strain, which is Tp upon dV upon V, that is change in pressure upon change in volume by original volume. and thus compressibility is the reciprocal, that is B is equal to 1 by K, and thus it is minus dV upon V upon dP. See, this change in pressure is accounted in negative, so we have this negative sign. Let us take up this question. If the surface tension at the air-water interface is 0.073 Newton per meter, estimate the pressure difference between inside and outside of an air bubble of diameter 0.01 mm. So we are given surface tension that is represented by sigma, that is equal to 0.073 Newton per meter. Next, we have the radius of air bubble, and it will be r, that is equal to 0.01 by 2, that is 0.01 by 2 mm, and that is equal to 0.01 by 2, and if we multiply it with 10 to the power minus 3, it will be in meter. So therefore the pressure difference, that is delta P, in inside and outside of an air bubble, so it will be given by, so the pressure inside the air bubble is given by 4 sigma upon d, which is basically equal to 4 sigma upon 2r, and it is 2 sigma upon r, and therefore we can say that it will be 2 times sigma, that is 0.073 upon 0.01 by 2 towards 10 minus 3, and hence we will get it to be around 29200 Newton per meter square, which is basically 29.2 kilopascal. Moving on to the next question. Calculate the capillarity effect in millimeter in a glass tube of 4 mm dia when immersed in first water and then mercury. The temperature of the liquid is 20 degrees centigrade and the values of the surface tension are 0.073 Newton per meter and 0.51 Newton per meter respectively. The angle of contact for water is 0 and that for mercury is 130 degree. Take density of water at 20 degree centigrade. So basically we have to calculate the capillarity effect for both water and mercury. So for water, you know, it will be a capillarity fall, and for mercury it will be a capillarity rise. So as we know that we are given with diameter d of the capillarity tube as 4 millimeter, which is 4 times 10 to the power minus 3 meter. Next, it is given by the formula that H is equal to 4 sigma cos theta upon rho g d. So this is the formula for capillarity rise or fall, and similarly the rise and fall will be denoted by the sign. And first we have water, that is for that water the surface tension is given 0.073 Newton per meter. Sigma is the surface tension, that is 0.03 Newton per meter. Angle of contact theta equal to 0 degree. and the density of water is 998 kg per meter cube. So therefore H will be given as 4 times sigma is 0.073 cos 0 upon rho, that is 998 times G is 9.81 and D is given by 4 times 10 to the power minus 3, and thus H will be equal to 7.46 10 to the power minus 3 meters, that is 7.46 mm. So we have a positive sign over here, that means we will have a capillarity rise. And next, in the second example, sigma is given as 0.51 Newton per meter and theta is given as 130 degree. Rho is the specific gravity times 1000, and it will be 13.6 times 1000, and it will be 13600 kg per meter square. So therefore we have H is equal to 4 times sigma is 0.51 cos 130 upon rho is 13600 times 0.81 times 4 times 10 to the power minus 3, and it will be minus 2.46 to 10 to the power minus 3 is equal to minus 2.46 mm. This one is in meter and this is mm, and therefore the negative sign means we will have a depression. So the next question is, a liquid compressed in a cylinder has volume of 1000 centimeter cube at 1 meganewton per meter square and a volume of 995 centimeter cube at 2 meganewton per meter square. What is the bulk modulus of elasticity? So we have given the previously it was 1 meganewton per meter square, then it becomes 2 meganewton per meter square, the pressure, and the volume was previously 1000 centimeter cube and it later on it becomes 95 centimeter cube, and we are asked to find out the bulk modulus of elasticity. Therefore we have change in volume, that is dV, is given by 995 minus 1000. So therefore it is minus 5 centimeter cube, and we have next we can get the volumetric strain. So volumetric strain is basically dV upon V. So basically the how much amount of strain is being there we are trying to find out, and it is in the volumetric level, and that is minus 5, that is the change in volume, upon 1000, that is the total final volume. So we get it to be around, okay, just let us just keep it like this, and next we can have change in pressure, that is dP. dP will be given by 2 minus 1, that is 1 meganewton per meter square. So we have the dP, we have dV upon V, so we can say that the bulk modulus of elasticity will be given by minus of dp upon dv upon v, and we will get it to be around, since it is 1 meganewton, we can write it 1 into 10 to the power 6 Newton per meter square, and therefore it will be minus, so minus will become plus because dv by v is in negative terms, so we will write dv by v just as positive 5 by 1000 as the minus are getting cancelled, and dp as 1 into 10 to the power 6, and therefore we will get the bulk modulus as 200 into 10 to the power 6 Newton per meter square, and it will be around 200 megapascal. Now guys, if you are asked about the compressibility, then you can get it just by having the reciprocal of the bulk modulus of elasticity. So that's all for this video. Thank you. Please like and share my video. Also subscribe if you are new to the channel. Thank you.